Hey YouTubers, we're gonna talk about sales tax for rental companies today. A lot of people, when they start a rental company, they're not quite sure exactly how sales tax works, whether or not you're supposed to charge sales tax. If you are supposed to charge sales tax, what are you charging it on? Are you charging sales tax just on your rental items? Do you have to charge it on your delivery fees? Do you have to charge it on your damage waivers? All of these questions will eventually come up as you're starting to progress towards actually launching your rental company and providing services to your clients. So really wanted to dive into some of the details of this today because it is going to be different for everyone's own jurisdiction. So depending on if you live in California or if you live in Florida or New Hampshire, that sales tax process is going to look slightly different. However, the general idea behind it is going to be the same, and the process will be pretty similar regardless of where you live. Now, some areas may not even require you to collect sales tax for rentals at all, whereas other states, I know here in Arizona, where I'm from, we have to collect sales tax not only on the rental sales themselves, but also the delivery fees. And most places, probably not the damage waiver though, because that's something separate. And so it can get a little tricky. And you definitely want to research that out ahead of time, because if you do not do that, you are setting yourself up for a very rude awakening potentially down the road. There are several companies here in Arizona. When I started my rental company in 2011, my wife and I went out and started doing research on sales tax for rentals, and we found this out. We found that we had to charge it for the delivery fee, and we also had to charge it for the rental items. But then we also learned that there were several rental companies, event rental companies, bounce house rental companies in our area that for several years were not collecting sales tax on their delivery fees. And sure enough, it was really one of those things where the state changed their law and didn't notify anyone about it. And 4 years down the road, they had not been collecting sales tax on their delivery fees for several years. Those fees start to pile up, and a lot of local companies here in Arizona got really hurt by those by those lawsuits that the state filed against them. They had to pay back sales tax upwards of $40,000, $50,000, sometimes $100,000 in some cases. So you definitely do not want to put yourself in that situation. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find out if you have to pay sales tax. The way you do that is you go to your state's website and start looking up the different jurisdictions that you're in. So, whatever state you're in, go to their website, look up the sales tax fees. You're going to have two different things. You're going to have sometimes state TPT. TPT stands for Transaction Privilege Use Tax. And a lot of times those will be combined with your city or county. So you would collect it all in one fee or one rate and then pay it all at the end of the month, or quarterly, or however your state requires you to pay it. Sometimes they're going to be separate. I know when I started out, I was in Chandler, Arizona. Chandler collected their sales tax separately from the state, and so I had to file not only my state sales tax every month, but I also had to file my Chandler sales tax separately and pay them separately. And they showed up as different items on my invoices as well. So just check and make sure that that you are doing the correct process for your own individual jurisdiction. So find that out on the state website, and then proceed from there. Also, really dive into what you have to pay sales tax on. So like I mentioned, do you have to pay it on the delivery fee? Each of those websites will have very specific details on what is and what is not taxable. Scroll down to the rental section and make sure you read it thoroughly. If you can, get a tax professional involved, get an accountant involved, and make sure that you're doing it right up front so that you don't have any potential issues down the road. Then once you know whether or not you're going to have to, if you do have to pay sales tax and collect it, then you're going to want to register for your TPT license. You're probably going to have to do that through the state and through the city. You just do that through their website, and they're going to issue you your license. Once you have that all set up and ready to go, you'll have an account with them, and then that's going to allow you to each month or each quarter, whatever your payment schedule is, to log on to that website, state and file how much you collected in sales tax for that particular time frame, and then go ahead and make those payments. That's all you're essentially doing here. You're literally collecting money for the state or for your city, holding it for them for a certain period of time, and then issuing it to them. It's like a two-edged sword. It's like you see this money, but it's not really yours, and then you're in charge of it, and you're responsible for keeping track of it down to the penny. and then you have to disperse it at the correct times and on the correct time schedules. And if you mess up on any one of those processes, it can be quite a headache, and penalties start to add up really quickly. So I'm not trying to scare anyone away, but I do want to make sure that you guys are aware of this ahead of time so that you don't make these mistakes that some rental companies do. And then, yeah, just figure out your payment schedules. And another way to really keep track of this stuff is to find a good accounting software, something like QuickBooks, where they have this pretty much dialed in and it's automated, right? You'll set up your QuickBooks account and then you can just put in your base location, and they have all of those tax rates filed in their database, and they can do it based on location, and they'll know exactly what you're supposed to collect, what rates you're supposed to collect at, whether it's your local address or whether it's the address that you're delivering your product to. All of that will be basically automated in QuickBooks. So I do recommend QuickBooks. It's what we use for our rental software at A Daily Logistics. We integrate with QuickBooks, and the sales tax flows back and forth, syncs between the two seamlessly. So that's about it. It's pretty seamless. So if you have any questions, obviously leave them in the comments below. I'll definitely be happy to help you out there, answer any questions you have on your specific jurisdiction. But good luck, guys.